Good evening and welcome back to the Metro Detroit Poker Series. I am your host, Terry Prince. With me today, multiple-time champion, final table regular, Bob Williamson.
What's shaking?
We've got the 2024 Shootout event tonight to bring you. This is the event where we play down to the final two at each table. No one has any seat changes, and then the entire final table makes the money. So this is our final table of the Shootout. Our top two from each of the five tables that made it to the end here. And here is our final table seating. In seat number 1, Mark Olson. Seat number 2 is Alex Kotowski. He's been making a regular appearance at these final tables. Seat number 3 is Jim Angus. Seat number 4 is Mark Lewandowski. Seat number 5, Jim Warda, another one making a lot of final table appearances. Seat number 6, self-anointed Mr. Wonderful there.
Is that some new ink on his arm there?
I don't know, but it might be. I don't remember seeing it before. Seat number 7, Ken Moore, our paper product supplier. Seat number 8, Joel Asuncion.
Is that the Hulk Flex, I think, or something?
And seat number 9, Chris Shanta. And rounding out the final table in seat number 10, Cam Patel. Pretty solid table here with our final table chip counts. Alex out in front, 48K. Jim Warder right behind, 44. Mark and Kevin bringing up the rear. Kevin, 6.2. He's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, usually you see in this tournament the stacks are pretty balanced going into the final table. But there's a little separation here between the top and the bottom this time.
Yeah, you make a good point because you end up at the final two. So Kevin must have really been holding on for dear life at that primary table he was at before making it here.
Yeah, what's nice about this tournament, if you can make it all the way here, it's like you're playing two final tables back to back. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a popular format. Ken looking down at pocket queens from the middle position.
That's nice for Ken. He was towards the bottom in the chip count here, right? So, I think he's still got a little room to open normally, but he's looking to get this in, I'm sure.
Which he does. He opens the 4,500. Our blinds are 600, 1,200, 1,200. 1,200 big blind ante, 1,200 big, 600 small. So he makes it almost a 4x raise. Gets around to Alex in the small blind with pocket tens.
Yeah, I think Alex will be looking to get Ken stacking here with the tens.
He does raise it up to 15,000. Jim gets out of the way with Jack Deuce. And here goes Ken. Says all in, 4 bets it all in.
And it's not much more, so Alex is certainly going to have to call.
He does throw in the calling chip. And he's going to find out he's way behind in this one. Ken flips over his queens. Alex flips over his tens. And off to the flop we go.
What is this, new here? Got a little inserted window here for the
flop? Right in the window. Look at that. And the door card's a 10. Holy smokes, they both flop sets.
Leaves Alex drawing pretty thin here.
He's basically drawing down to 1 out. And he does not get it. Ken's going to get the double up.
A little excitement there in hand 1. Off to a good start for Ken.
Now Ken looks down at King Jack offsuit. Also known as Jack King off.
Or King Jack not suited.
Cam looks down at King Queen offsuit.
Cam should be opening here.
Middle position. Looks like he's reaching for raising chips. Makes it 3,200 to go. 2,000 chip raise. Down to Jim Angus with Queen 9 of spades. So we have seen now two of Cam's outs are out.
Oh, I'm a little surprised Jim there. Jim calls a lot of hands. Queen 9 spades seems like it'd be something in his range there to take a flop with.
He balked on it. You know, he reached
He
for
did the pump
chips and
fake,
then
yeah.
folded. Yep, did the pump fake.
And good fold, right? Cam's got him dominated, and look at Kevin even in the big blind has him dominated.
Yep, Queen 10 of hearts. So Cam's going to be drawing really thin if somebody hits a flop on him because two of his queens are out, one of his kings are out. So
Yeah.
he's drawing really thin to any outs at that point.
Yeah, well, as it is, he doesn't need it, right? Kevin's the one in need here of hitting his 10.
Kevin is all in. He was our short stack coming into the table.
Yeah, really bad situation there for Kevin. Felt like he had most of his chips in the pot already and had to take a stand with a dominated hand.
But it was a reasonable hand to get him in
sure,
with,
yeah.
for sure. It just, he was dominated. So Kevin's going to be our 10th place finisher. Makes $90 for his efforts today.
Not feeling wonderful anymore. I'm kidding. Kevin always feels wonderful.
Hand number 6 at our final table. That was hand number 4 Kevin got eliminated on, so we're pretty much right away within that first half of orbit. So here we are getting around the bend.
In this event, everybody at the final table gets paid, right?
Yes. Yep. So Kevin was the bubble. Or not the bubble, the first casher. Jim Angus looking down at pocket 9s here.
Yep, nice starting hand.
Going to raise it up to 3,200. Mark behind him with parking lot, ace queen offsuit.
Yeah, Mark, got to be thinking about 3-betting or just calling here. I can't see what his stack size is. It looks like it's an awkward size where he can do a normal 3-bet size. Either it might be something you want to jam with.
Yeah, I think Jim's got him out chipped. Mark doesn't have too many yellows back there. He does just make the call. I'd have probably just made the call here too.
Yeah, I think it depends if his stack, where his stack is. If it's short enough, I think I'm just going to jam it. If it's deeper, maybe you're just going to call.
Yeah, if you're short stacked, then you got to get it in with ace queen. But Ken makes the call with king 10 of diamonds.
Yeah, it does allow Ken and both Joel to get in the hand by not 3-betting. So
4-way action here. Jack right in the window. And a 10 and a deuce, 2 hearts. Ken makes middle pair. Joel makes top pair.
Yeah, really the two worst hands hitting the flop here.
Yeah, Mark has the
Mark has
backdoor
a gut shot,
nut flush draw and a gut shot
Yeah,
straight
that
draw.
ace of hearts is definitely a card you like to have in your hand here, right? But it looks like Joel took the lead here.
Well, he's got top pair. He's got no
Yeah.
reason to think anybody's got him beat at this point. So yeah, I'd take a stab at it for sure.
Yeah, and again with maybe Mark's chip stack is such that he doesn't want to get involved here.
Yeah, Jim, he did fold. Jim folded his 3rd pair, and Joel's gonna take it down.
Jim flashing his 9s for some reason, saying I had you before the flop.
Yeah, just doing a little bit of advertising. So I didn't get it in light, but definitely got outflopped.
Joel's deal in here. Reminds me. I played cards. I've known Joel for many years. Right, we played cards a long time. I see him only last couple of years. I recognize he deals left-handed. I don't know if you've seen that, but he's not left-handed at all in any way. Right, but for some reason, he just grew up dealing left-handed.
That's odd.
And I've tried it before, and I'm actually left-handed in a lot of things. I write left-handed, do some other things left-handed, but it feels so awkward that dealing motion to go left-handed.
Well, that's bizarre. I would have never even noticed that, really. I am severely right-handed, so.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, I do a lot of things left-handed, but yeah, there's certain things that if you try it with your opposite hand, it just seems so strange to do.
Right. We got a king 6-3 flop here. Cam hits top pair.
So I think this was just limped in, right?
Yeah, that was just a limp pot. Cam bets out 4,000 and Jim gets out of the way real quick. And that's going to take it down. Cam shows his king. Just like that, easy peasy.
Yep. Bet and win.
Yeah, almost completing our first orbit around the table. Hand number 9. Jim in early under the gun looks down at ace 10 offsuit. Limps again.
Yeah, I think we've commented before. Jim will do this. A lot of hands, right? Not just the marginal hands, but sometimes the big hands will limp in.
He did raise earlier with his pocket nines.
Yep.
Speaking of pocket nines, that's what Mark has woke up with. Raises it up to 5,000. Jim Ward looks
Yep.
down at ace queen.
With one limper, a little bit extra on the raise. I think that makes sense. And then, Jim with the big all in, right?
Yep, and Chris also has ace queen. So now we got a lot of aces out.
Casually tosses it away. That's, you know,
Pretty
give him some
disciplined
pause,
right there. I think he's got a decent stack, and he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Jim's got a really good size stack. So
Yeah, it's been opened and then 3-bet, and then your ace queen doesn't look that strong always.
So,
Back to Mark now. This tough spot. We talked about the stack a little bit earlier. It was kind of in the middle, right? It looks like he's definitely covered by Jim. So, you know, do you want to risk it all with the nines?
yeah, he's got just a couple of yellows back there and some pinks. So he's probably got looks like 5, 10, 12,000 or so behind. So he doesn't.
Well, if it's
have
only
a lot.
12, I think he's committed. If he's got a little bit more, you know, maybe he can get away. Really thinking it over here.
Yeah, like I said, he's right in that middle ground where.
So I don't know how many hours he has on the table with Jim. You know, does he think Jim's going to do this lightly, or does he think Jim's going to have a big hand here? And he gives it up.
He does throw it away. Jim does not show. Mark will watch this video and be happy to know that it wasn't a pure bluff, but it was a race.
Yeah, I think if he watches back on this, he's going to say, I should take that flip there with, if he wins it, he's in really good shape, right?
Well, it's nice to know that you're in a flip when you're in a flip.
Yeah.
He could have easily been dominated.
That's absolutely, yeah.
And that's I'm sure the thought process that went through his head was, what are the likelihood that I'm dominated here? I could be up against, jacks, queens, ace, king, in that case, ace, queen, so you got the best case scenario probably going through his head was a flip.
Yeah. But again, Jim, no reason not to do that with pocket eights, pocket sevens, and, such hands.
To me, that's a semi-bluff, though.
I guess, it depends on what Jim thinks of what Mark's opening with, right?
True, but opening under the gun, you got to, under the gun plus one, you got to figure his range is fairly strong.
Yeah. So I think we got another limp pot here, right?
And then
a lot of limping today.
Flop 2 aces. Now we got 3 hearts out there. Everybody's got a heart too. This ought to be interesting.
Yeah, Alex really effectively top pair. I mean, second pair with the aces out there, but Jim's got the 5 plus the king of hearts. Chris has got the queen of hearts. Definitely everybody with some interest here.
Yeah, I'd say Alex bet out 3,200 into a 8,000 or into a 6,000 chip pot. So I'm guessing that he's going to get 2 callers on this.
He's pretty. I think he feels like he's got the best hand, and he does. But certainly the bigger draws out there.
Yeah, the king and the queen of hearts, first and second nut flush draws, both got to be figuring you're coming along for 3,200.
Yeah, now if Jim calls here, that might give Chris some pause. But queen of hearts is pretty strong here. If it's not much more, I think he's definitely, it's only going to be 3,200, and there's going to be, 12 in there. It seems like there's some confusion about the bets on the table here.
Yeah, they're trying to clean up the pot, it looks like.
Yeah,
actually, it looks like Jim might be trying to get an idea of how much is in the pot. I'm wondering if he's thinking about raising here on a semi-bluff.
Could be. Yeah, it's a reasonable hand to raise with here. Guys, another public service announcement. If you're sitting in seats 3 and 8, help manage the pot a little bit. And keep the discarded cards out of the way. Keep the pot nice and neat. Helps the game move along.
Yeah, they're definitely going back and forth about where the betting went. Jim does make the call, and Chris quickly comes behind. Yeah, there was no way he was going anywhere for 3,200 chips. 10 of clubs, or 10 of spades,
Look
sorry.
at that. Chris backs into the best hand.
Chris ends up with top 2 pair.
Not the way he expected to win this
Nope,
hand.
not at all.
Assuming he's not bet out here. I wouldn't be surprised, and Alex does lead out here. Yeah, I'm not surprised when Alex leads out of this.
Well, he got to figure that 10 probably didn't hurt him any. And if a heart would have came, Chris would be probably going bye-bye.
So, think about what's Alex looking to do here if he, with a bet. He's not going to get any aces to fold. He's not going to get any hearts to fold. You really, what are you targeting to get to fold with that bet? What are you going to get value from? So...
I'm thinking that the flop was checked.
Yeah.
And with 2 hearts on the flop, and I think if somebody had an ace, they're betting the flop because of the danger of the hearts. And after that, when the heart came and everybody called,
I'm just saying, I think Alex's bet there, or lead out, is kind of optimistic, right? You're not getting better hands to fold, and you're not getting worse hands to call.
And you could see the reaction Alex had when he realized that he lost to just a slightly better pair.
Yeah, it really was unfortunate that like I said, he kind of backed into that hand, right? Looking to hit the heart, but you hit your kicker, and that ended up being good.
The interesting part, too, there, what would he have done had the heart hit? Because all 3 of them had a heart.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Alex had the worst of it then. Yeah.
Right. I mean, he could have still bet out, and then it really got squeezed at that point because Jim probably would have shoved, and Chris would have had no choice but to call with the second nuts, and Chris would be walking away by now.
Yeah.
But,
so, I don't know if if Alex opens or leads and Jim shoves, Chris could maybe fold that queen of hearts. The board's paired. The king beats you. Never know.
Maybe. It's hard. It's an
Yeah.
awfully hard fold. I mean, Chris or Alex could have easily folded. No, he had that weak flush, so he could have easily folded. But I don't know if second nuts goes away that quickly.
So looks like we've got all in pre-flop happening here. Mark taking a stand with the small pair. He's flipping. Oh,
Right in the window gets the jack for Jim and an ace.
Just to rub it in.
Drawn down to a 3 now for Mark.
Looking for black 3. Nope.
They did both get 2 pair. Jim's jacks got counterfeited, but does not help Mark any at all. And Mark is going to be our 9th place finisher. Also takes home $90.
And now he's really thinking about the 9 saying, I should have taken my stand there, right? I mean, it could turn out the same way, right?
It's right. It basically is the same scenario.
Yeah,
It's a flip no matter what.
Yeah.
Just
But maybe that one would have won his way. You
Right.
never know,
In this
right?
case, this flip didn't go so well.
Alex with a big hand.
Ace King, it's the first time we've seen that one so far today. Alex bumps it up to 16. No, he just makes the call with 1600. All right. Limps with Ace King, and Ward has got King Queen.
Maybe he's looking for someone to. Well, there you go.
Yep, he got somebody to make the raise. Now does he come back with a 3-bet?
I can't imagine he's not going to with. He might not even have enough to make Jim fold anything.
Right, I'm looking at his stack. He's only got about 12, 14,000 there, so I'm betting he's shoving it right here.
Yeah, I would expect so. And then Jim can't fold really for that much more. Even though he's dominated, right? And he's going to think, well, what is he?
Yep, there they go. 14-5 is what he had, so I was pretty close in my read there on his chip stack. And he gets it all in, and Jim's dominated a 3-1 dog here. Drawn to a queen or runners. And he's got diamonds, no more for diamonds.
Yeah, nobody hits anything.
The Ace King is going to hold up. Alex doubles up.
So it brings Alex up to 33 now. So it gets him, at least with a workable stack.
Yeah, well, he was chip leader to start the table, and then lost that hand to Chris, where I know he lost a bunch of chips, and I just got a good stack back. Jim Ward has got a good stack as well now. So
Mark's just showing. Yeah, Mark's been pretty quiet, but he hasn't had any cards and hasn't had any chips to work with. So he's gonna, he's only got 5 blinds now. The blinds have gone up, and he's gonna take a stand with his queen 10 of spades. He's certainly getting it looked up from Joel though.
Our blinds are at 1,000, 3,000, 3,000 now. Joel with ace king suited. I'm surprised he didn't 3-bet that.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell what his stack size is. Maybe he's looking to entice Chris or Cam to come along.
Which they don't because they don't have anything,
Yeah.
but I'm surprised he didn't put the squeeze on there.
Works out the same either way.
Ace king of hearts versus queen 10 of spades. Let's see our flop. King, 8 deuce, and a 10. They both hit a pair, but the kings are going to do it. And Joel's going to take down that pot for $35K, and Mark Olson's going to be our 8th place finisher.
Yeah, really no opportunity for Mark to do anything here.
No, he didn't have a lot of hands to go with. He did win the high hand of the night for this the tournament, so he took down $189.
That's a nice little bonus.
Now Jim Angus looks down at pocket sevens, limps in.
Yeah, recurring theme here from Jim.
Joel
Right.
with pocket jacks. He's not going to limp in. 3x raise to 9,000. Around to Cam with 6-3 of diamonds. It's going to end up in the muck.
Yeah, so I don't know what. Oh,
Uh-oh. Alex
that.
with pocket kings. We got the 3-bet squeeze
No.
got to be coming here.
yeah, we know he just doubled up to 30,000 or so. Yeah, it looks like it's about 30. Yeah.
And all that 30 now in the middle.
Now Jim just limped him with a hand you'd normally be raising with here. What I can't imagine he's
To
going
me,
to
this
continue
is
with this.
to me this is an easy fold, but he's looking to count out chips.
Oh, look at that. Now, if Jim actually does call here, this might give Joel an opportunity to get away from the jacks because you got to be thinking, what kind of hand would
Right.
Jim limp in?
He did.
And then call the 3-bet jam with.
Oh, it screams aces and kings is what it screams, but
Now it does scream a premium, but we can see that it's not. So, does that give him a chance to get away from these jacks? And it's not Jim that has the big hand, it's Alex.
right. So Jim goes all in, limp shoves for 38K. Joel does make the call. We're going to go 3-way here, 2 players at risk, and
So-
everybody's got a pair. So the kings are way out in front. Joel's got everybody covered if he can spike a jack.
Not good so far. I mean, it's good for the Kings, but
The kings are going to hold up here.
yeah, that's a big win.
Alex triples up. Joel's going to take down a side pot of 16K from Angus, and Angus is eliminated.
Huh. Yeah, that's the Kings versus Jacks. I wonder what Jim's thinking there with the sevens. Is he thinking, well, I don't know if you played much with Alex. He's been here the last few years, right? But he does push a lot, right? He will push pre-flop. He will push post-flop. So you can argue that maybe Alex is doing this with some, just a couple of big cards, and you want to take a stand with your sevens.
Yeah, maybe Jim thought he was in a coin flip situation.
Yeah.
Ace, king, ace, queen, something like that.
But he's also got
but
Joel to deal with, so that's,
Right.
That's what
That's
makes
what I
that
said
hand
to
really
me.
tough from his spot.
To me, I thought that was an easy fold. Joel ends up all in.
That dominated. Yeah, he had 11 blinds going into that. 30. You can see it was 34,000 raise. You could argue that he can just open normally, and then if he meets a big 3-bet jam, he can get rid of that king jack. But more often than not, you're probably going to just take it down with that 11 blind jam.
Yeah, but he ran into ace king. You
yeah,
could see when he threw his hand, and when he saw the ace king, he tossed his hand, and he was disgusted. He knew he made the move at the wrong time.
Yeah. Which we've all been there.
Yep. Yep. If you've been playing poker for any length of time, you've
You've been there.
been there. So
Yeah.
we are still only 21 hands into this
Is
final
this-
table, and we have eliminated 5 players now.
I
So.
was just gonna say we're starting another limp parade here with 3 people limping in, and Chris waking up with the pocket 8s here. He only makes it 13 with 3 limpers, so that's a little light. I can't tell what he's got left, but maybe that is more of a jam-worthy stack there for
Well, he did get a limper to fold out, so.
Yeah, there were 3, so at least 2 of them folded.
The snowmen are showing up here. And Ken debating on whether to make a call with his Jack King off. But he doesn't know he's in a coin flip. So it's actually not a bad situation, but he could be dominated. This could be a move that any ace X could make. Right? Yeah, so he's got to put some serious thought into it, and he comes in over the top. Well, 17K, so Chris is going to make an easy call for 4K more.
So I guess had Chris jammed, the result would be the same. Ken deciding to take a stand. He limps for 3 and decides it's worth 17. You know, if you're going to do that, I prefer you just to jam the King Jack rather than the limp call, right? But, so man,
Oh, and he gets a king right in the window.
Yeah.
Ace doesn't help anybody. And a 5.
Yeah, so what do 8. I know? It worked out. It worked out, right?
Well, I think if he just jams pre-flop, then all he does is take down the blinds.
Well, no, in front of Ken, there were 2 limpers.
Well, he takes that down, but I mean, there's
definitely worth it.
But Chris doesn't come along, so he doesn't end up. He doesn't end up doubling
it worked out the best, right?
Yeah. I don't think that's what he was thinking. I don't think he was intended to get it all in with King Jack offsuit, but
sometimes when you see a couple limpers, if you add to it, it just everybody's going to limp, and
we're not terribly deep stacked at this point in the tournament, so that's why we get a lot of limping.
Yeah, and so here's another hand where it's just been limped from the small blind.
And this is bad news right here. They both have a straight. Cam's got the low end of it. Chris has got the high end of it.
And now Chris has moved all in. The 3 spades on board might give Cam some pause here, but he does have the low end of the straight. So, is he going to be able to get away from this?
And then it's blind on blind action here. So, they could have any 2 cards really here.
Yeah, for sure. He's thinking about it.
Yeah, he's going to be in bad shape. The best he can hope for is a 7 for a chop. And, he's drawing all but dead here. Ace of diamonds isn't going to do it. Chris is going to pick up 50K in his pot.
Yeah, and that takes a big chunk out of Cam's stack with a hand that you really had no interest in playing, right? But it's limped to you from the small blind. You're in the big blind. You take a flop. Check, and then you hit the turn.
Yeah. You think you're golden when you hit a straight, and then, of course, you're not so much.
Yeah, you end up losing a lot of money on a hand you didn't want to play. That's, just unfortunate.
So here we go. Jim with Jack 9 of diamonds limps in.
Ken follows suit there. More limping. This is the theme today.
Yep, limp. Just like I said. Yeah, like I said earlier, you're not terribly deep stacked, so we get a lot of limping.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean it's right to do it. It's just, it happens sometimes, right?
Here's another flop where we get 2 aces right off the bat. Ken did pick up second pair with 10s.
Yeah, probably no fear for Ken here. I'm going to bet this out.
Yeah, no pre-flop raise. Pretty safe. Probably nobody's got an ace.
You can really size pretty small here if you want. And, he doesn't. He goes about 2/3.
9K, about 2/3 of the pot. Yeah. But that's going to be enough to win it. You'd have to wonder if he got a call what the next action would be. But he's starting to build up a pretty nice little stack there. Yeah. He's got about 50, 60K, or he's got more than that. He's got 3 stacks of high society there.
Yeah, Ken's in pretty good shape right now.
Bunch of 4 stacks of yellows and some blues there. Him and Jim Warda. And Alex got a nice stack of yellows there too.
That's good shape.
Got some blues. Yeah. Cam now with ace king comes over the top of Chris's raise to 12K with his pocket 10s.
The 2 shorter stacks here are going to duke it out for this pot.
is a coin flip. That was the button versus the small blind. 7-7-3.
Safe flop for 10.
4. And another 3. Cam's like, where were those 3s 2 hands ago?
Yeah, and so it was 5-handed, not on the 4-handed, and this gets Chris a stack he can work with, I think. We're at, 3,000 on the blinds. That was 42,000 plus whatever he had. So he's at least got some maneuverability now.
Yeah, he's got over 50K, so he's got almost 20 bigs. So, yeah, you can definitely play around a little bit here.
He's going to put his chips to work.
9,000 raise to 9,000 with ace-10 of clubs. And Ken in the big blind with ace-3 of hearts for 6K more. He's thinking about coming in for the ride, and he does. Says the water's fine.
Ken swipes right.
6-9-4, a couple of hearts for Ken.
And Ken, I think, is thinking about leading out of it right now, even though Chris was the pre-flop raiser.
This is a good spot for that because he's got the nut flush draw. You know, why not take a stab at the semi-bluff?
And he does.
15,000, basically almost a pot size bet.
That's a really healthy bet on the flop there, and he takes it down. Yeah, so Chris has to let go of.
He didn't hit anything either, and he had no draws.
If
that ace came, he's in bad shape.
Yeah.
Well, no, if the ace comes, he's in good shape because he's got the kicker, but Ken still got the flush draws, so he's got a lot of outs. But he could make the inference that he did not have any real.
Well,
he might have only been drawing to the ace. Might have been his only good card for all he knew.
Right. Yeah, not a great board for a lot of pre-flop raising hands, but certainly Chris with overpairs there was going to be looking him up.
But that was a good bet by Ken. Good sizing too. So it's definitely made. If he makes it much smaller than that, I think Chris comes along.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty heavy for most flops, but like you said, if you're looking to shut it down, right, you want to take that hand down right there, then, that's a good size.
Well, there was that, and he had the nut draw.
Yeah.
So it was, the odds were 50-50, but...
look at this here.
Oof. Ken flops the second nuts.
Chris and Jim both flopping top pair.
Yep. And they're both drawing extremely thin.
Don't do it, Ken. He looks like he wants to lead out this. You've got the effective nuts here. Don't shut these guys down, right? Give him a chance. He's going to bet. Look at him.
He does bet. 15,000.
Oh, really?
Almost a pot-sized bet, yeah.
You might lose your customers here, Ken.
Yeah, I think he might be trying to defend against the ace of clubs, but Warda got one customer. Warda shoved, and Ken called. Wow.
I was expecting Jim maybe to shut it down with his marginal jack, right? But
wow. Jim's like, crap.
So Chris had a better hand than Jim, and he made a pretty quick fold. I was expecting Chris to go after it more so than Jim, but Jim does get aggressive in these situations, and a lot of times it pays off. That's
the second time we've seen at this final table where the aggression did not work.
Yeah. So I take it back, Ken. Go ahead and bet it out. You hit the nuts there, or effective nuts, and you got paid.
He's got lots of stacks of high society now because basically Jim was the second highest stack at the table. So now we have two big stacks with Ken and Alex,
and really Alex isn't that.
He's got half a stack of blues up front though. That's part of it. Uh-oh, look at this. Alex flop trips, and Ken's got top pair.
This is a chance for Alex to take a big chunk out of Ken now.
Alex checked his trips.
And Chris happy to sit back and maybe
let the big stacks duke it out.
He's thinking, maybe Alex will bust this hand, and I'm just going to coast in the second pretty easy.
Ken bets out 10K half the pot. So he downsized a little bit here in his last few bets.
Yeah, I think, and Alex just comes along with the call. He's going to, it's a really bad card for Ken, right? Because now he's just chopping with any other ace hand, right? Because they're going to play the king or the kicker. So, you know.
He's not thinking
He's
that,
not
though.
slowing
He's
down. Well, no, I think,
out.
now he's not worried about being outkicked, right? He's only worried about the jack. What did he put in there?
15,000 on that one. So
he kept his bet relatively low, right? He didn't increase it from the flop sizing.
Flop bet was 10K.
10,
Made
okay,
it 15,
sorry. Yeah,
but
you're right. He did.
I mean, it was a third of the pot now, and then Alex comes over the top all in, and Ken is drawing dead to a single ace.
Yeah.
No.
So he's probably thinking I'm chopping, right? He's good if he makes this call. It's how much is it? 46 from Alex. Yeah, 46. So, if you're Ken, you gotta think. Well, I'm probably chopping. Or he's got the jack.
You're right, and that's what I'm thinking. He's got the jack.
Yeah. So can you afford it? Yes.
Well, also Queen 10 here.
Yeah, I mean Queen 10 does get there. Do you think Alex continues with his stack size if he has just the gut shot? I tend to think he mucks it, but it's possible. It could have been Queen 10 diamonds, Queen 10 hearts, something with a backdoor flush.
Right. So yeah, Ken's giving it a lot of thought, as he should, because there's definitely ways to be beat here.
Yeah, for sure.
Which he is.
If he does make this call, Alex is really going to be in good shape with his stack.
Well, yeah, he'd be way out in front. Ken makes a good fold.
Yeah, nice job, Ken.
Gives it a lot of thought and makes the fold.
Yeah, it's a tough one to get away from, I think, with the king out there. Some other smaller, card that didn't really interact with the board, you're probably just going to call it off.
Yeah, the king definitely gave him some pause again, made the straight, put the spade flush draw out there. He didn't have a spade. He didn't have two spades. So lots of ways even to be beat there.
Or maybe that's more incentive to actually fold is, with the small card out there. You more think he's got the jack in that case. It's hard to guess someone else's thought process sometimes, but, that's what I'd be thinking.
And again, we know, like I said, Alex can be an aggressive player too. Sure. So he might have had air there. He's been known to push it in on air, but there was just way too many ways to be beat. Ken here picks up.
He hits a straight.
A straight, yeah.
Alex
caught a gut shot.
Yeah, Alex was just a 4.
Bottom pair for Alex, yeah.
3 clubs on the board. Maybe Ken doesn't raise.
He didn't. He just made the call. Straight's going to be good.
Yeah.
Ken gets some of his chips back from that last hand. Got a pretty healthy stack of blues there in front of all those yellows.
Yeah, look, so he didn't lose as much as he probably could have in the previous hand, and then he comes right back and takes the next hand. So he's still in good shape.
We're at 2-4-4 blinds now. I think they went up last hand.
Yeah, Chris, meanwhile, has got to make something happen soon.
Limps in with 6-8 of spades. Suited one gap connectors.
I don't like that.
Alex makes the call with suited one gap connectors, and Ken has an 8. That's what we know.
Well, he's got the X of diamonds. That's a pretty strong card to have. It doesn't connect with this board, but
They're still checking it down now after limping in pre-flop.
Yeah, I mean, Chris may have the best hand, right?
A pair of 6s. We've been going to bet it out now. Since everybody...
Oh, look at that. I'm sorry. Alex has got hearts. I thought it said 9-7 with the diamond, but Alex has made the flush here.
Yeah, I think they both figured out what they needed to figure out. Chris is like, no, okay, my pair of 6s ain't no good.
Yeah, I didn't like it. it shows he's in a little bit of dire straits there. He's trying to limp in from the button and make something happen with the 8-6 of spades. When he was already short. Now he's really short.
Yeah, if he's going to do something from the button, he probably got a raise there.
Yeah. And looking at the hands, it probably would have went through.
Of course, we have that benefit.
Yeah.
Alex now, king, queen offsuit. Going to raise it up to 13,000. Ken has
healthy. King
X offsuit, folds it. Chris now with suited connectors, 7-8.
Is he going to just have to go with this? I don't think he's got enough chips where he's going to want to just call. And I think I just fold this in Chris's spot here. These suited connectors like this, it's one thing if you're have a very deep stack and you're in a cash game and you're going to win.
He does just make the call.
Oh, well.
Wow, that tells you what you know.
Well, no, look at Alex's hand.
Oh, so they both flop straights.
You got
wow.
Chris with the ass end of the straight and, Alex with the top side. So
Chris shoves, Alex insta calls, and wow. Both flop a straight. Chris is hoping for a chop now. King will give him a chop. Nope. About as far away from it as you can get. And Alex going to eliminate Chris, take down a 60,000 chip pot. It's like, holy smokes, what a flop for those guys.
Yeah, I feel your pain there, Chris. I've been in that situation deep in a cash game, flopping that straight with the 7-8 before, and it's painful.
Wow, it's like you only lose to one perfect hand, and two actually.
Well, yeah,
that was it.
8 queen. And,
exactly. Yep. So now we're heads up. 50 hands in, 51 now. Pocket sixes versus ace queen offsuit. Ace queen on the button raised it up to 12. Ken's going to raise to 24.
Ken come with a 3-bet.
That's a new move for Ken. He doesn't do that very often.
No. Maybe give Alex a little pause here, but Alex has a really strong hand heads up, so it's is the question, is he going to call or 4-bet?
He 4-bet shoves. So now
Ken's like, oh,
Ken's really got to think.
Oh, he calls.
He makes the call.
That's a pretty quick call for.
So they're flipping.
Yeah.
But it's heads up a pair. Oh, right in the window catches an ace
and a queen.
No 6 for Ken. Alex is going to double up.
Yep. I mean, Ken a little quick with that call, but he was correct in that it was a flip, and I think you want to take that flip there once you've got that much of your stack in. Chance for Ken to end it. Right.
Well, that was exactly it. You figure a pair is a made hand heads up. It's hard to get rid of any pair heads up. So now we've got a couple of jacks here. We got the flat tire hand or the Robbie.
Ken's
Jack 4 for Alex.
Only 6 blinds left for Ken. He's just going to go for it. And Alex may not be able to afford. May not. He can afford it. You may not want to fold any hand here, really. With him now has a chance to end it. So
petty cash at this point for Alex. He sees he's dominated.
Yeah, he gets in about as bad as you can there.
High chance for a chop here. 3 diamonds.
Oh, yeah.
Ken's got a diamond.
And
they do chop it.
Yeah.
Tens and queens. Loss, right? Tens and queens with a jack kicker. They do chop it.
So Ken's going to have to wait at least one more hand to get that double up he needs.
Yeah, because there you didn't even chop the blinds because you're the only ones in the pot.
You chopped the.
you chopped your own blinds.
Yeah. Right, whoever was a big blind lost half that.
Right.
Lost half their ante.
Yeah, exactly. Lost half the big blind ante. So Ken now all in with ace deuce of diamonds after Alex limped in from the small blind.
So Ken's 8 blinds deep here. So I think this is a spot where maybe you can fold if you're Alex. 10-8, 8 blinds. Again, you're hoping to end it, right? Oh, it's a good start. Look at that. Open-ended. No help yet. Ace holds up.
Ace high is going to win that one.
Now Ken up to 16 blinds. Definitely something that
He's
Alex
making a
can't call
comeback,
lightly,
right? He's making a comeback. So
Yeah.
now if he shoves, which he's probably going to still in shove or fold mode, but if he shoves now, Alex can't just make an insta call.
I mean, at 16 blinds, you can play a hand, right? You don't have to shove pre-flop.
No, you don't. But the blinds and the antes are going to eat you up quick.
Yeah,
So
right.
You can only afford to do that once or twice.
Right, exactly, yeah. So, and this looks like he's going to use one of those 1 or 2 times right here.
Yeah, he raises it to 18.
Wow, that's really high, a lot,
Ken with ace deuce. Alex was 7-4. Gets an ace right now. Ace and 7 ball. They both hit pairs.
Yeah, this Alex might feel compelled to go with it.
No, he folds after Ken
Ken
shoved.
shoved,
So
yeah,
Ken going to take it down. Well, Ken's starting to build a stack back up.
Yeah, he picked up, at least another 6-7 blinds there.
Blinds went up again. Now we're 71 hands in. So we've been dealing heads up now for about 20 hands. And
Yeah, Ken slowly chipping away, right?
Alex shoves with ace 8. Ken calls all in for less with queen 10. And a 10 right in the window. And a 8 doesn't help.
Doesn't help.
So Ken's going to double up again.
Yeah, we're looking at potentially one of the bigger comebacks, right, that we've seen if Ken can pull this off. He was down to 4 blinds here when it was heads up.
I mean, well, he had at beginning heads up. He had a dominating stack.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
Yeah.
Alex got it all. So here they ended up getting it all in as well. And Alex has pocket kings. 3, 4, 5, 7. Straight draw for Ken. It's a 6. Gives him the straight. It's a chop. It's a straight on the
yeah,
board.
straight on the board.
It's a straight on the board. It's a chop. Wow. How does that work?
Yeah, they've chopped a couple of hands here.
They get it all in pre-flop.
Now, I can't tell at this point, who has the bigger stack? Is it still Alex? Or did Ken catch him?
I think it's... I think what they're doing here is they made a deal. They made a deal.
They must be damn near even, right?
So yeah.
So they made a deal.
Chopped it, and this is going to be our last hand. Ken's got 8.
Oh, so that last hand was part of it too, right?
I'm not sure.
Right?
I'm not sure. I don't think it was, but this one definitely is. They chopped up the winnings. Ken's going to take this down for the win. So Alex is going to be our second place official finisher, $740. Ken, our first place finisher for $740. So yeah, they were pretty even at that point.
Yeah.
Just did a 50-50 chop. And here is our final standings.
I hate leaving it to random chance though, right? Play it out for the win now. This is my motto.
So there they go. That's our shootout event. Thanks for watching. For Bob Williamson, I'm Terry Prince. Have a good night.
Peace.